Mimic the Myna, Chapter 1. Mimic's Journey Begins. Nestled within the breathtaking expanse of the Himalayan mountains resides one of the most remarkable avian species on the planet, the common hill myna, or Gracula religiosa. Revered for its exceptional intelligence and captivating vocal abilities, this striking bird has been a fixture in cultural legends and folklore for centuries. Among the countless tales told, one narrative shines exceptionally bright, the enchanting story of Mimic the Myna, whose adventures have captured the imaginations of many. This tale highlights Mimic's extraordinary talent for imitation and delves into themes of friendship, wisdom, and the bond between nature and humanity. Mimic grew up in the heart of the largest Myna flock in Nepal, a vibrant assembly of feathered companions that filled the air with melodic calls. For generations, serene Buddhist monks had meticulously nurtured his family, who imparted the wisdom of ancient mantras designed for protection. Amidst the tranquil chants echoing in the sacred mountain air, Mimic absorbed the rich tapestry of tradition and spirituality that enveloped his existence, becoming a living embodiment of the holy legacy passed down through the ages. On a bright morning, as the Myna birds made their customary journey to the ancient monastery, their feathers gleaming in the sunlight, a lively group of tourists were scaling the rugged mountains nearby. They were accompanied by a Sherpa, a seasoned local guide whose weathered face told stories of countless high-altitude treks. As he skillfully navigated the rocky terrain, he pointed out the breathtaking views of lush valleys and distant peaks. Among the Myna birds was Mimic, a curious and adventurous soul. As he soared above the trees, he caught sight of the tourists below, a splash of color against the rocky landscape. Ignoring the urgent calls of his fellow birds, who warned him of the potential dangers of wandering away from the flock, Mimic's curiosity compelled him to glide down toward the group. Meanwhile, the Sherpa, noticing the solitary bird, turned to the tourist with a grave expression. He recounted a local legend. Seeing a lone Myna bird in the sky is considered a bad omen, a portent of misfortune. His words hung in the air as the chill swept through the group. Just then, intrigued by the striking Myna, one of the tourists reached into their backpack. With a deft movement, they pulled out a delicate net designed for catching small creatures. As the Myna bird fluttered gracefully overhead, entirely unaware of this peril, the tourist swiftly raised the net, casting it toward the bird. In one swift motion, the Myna was ensnared, trapped in the mesh as he flapped helplessly against its confines. The excitement of the tourist contrasted sharply with the anxious cries of his fellow Myna birds, who witnessed the turn of events from a distance. But the Myna bird showed no signs of alarm, while tangled in the net's fine mesh. Instead, a glimmer of curiosity lit up his eyes as the tourist, with a practiced and gentle touch, freed him from the entrapment. He held the Myna close to his chest, where the rhythmic beating of his heart created a warm and secure cocoon. The soft fabric of his shirt brushed against the Myna's delicate fur, and the crisp scent of pine and earth surrounded them, a reminder of the outdoor adventure. As he lovingly petted the top of the Myna bird's head, each stroke was infused with a soothing energy, transforming what could have been a moment of fear into one of serene connection and trust. The adventurous tourist responsible for snatching the Myna was none other than Dr. Zampa Jain, a dedicated zoologist with a passion for the wild. Journeying into the majestic Himalayas, he sought to capture one of the elusive Myna birds, known for their unique vocal abilities and vivid plumage. With a keen eye for innovation, Dr. James secured a special license from the Tibetan government, permitting him to acquire one of these rare feathered gems. Armed with an intriguing new theory, he planned to employ captivating visuals to teach the Myna the intricacies of human communication. He believes that the enchanting bird could one day mimic human speech with a finesse that rivals even the most skilled talkers. This ambitious project promises to bridge the gap between species and opens up a world of possibilities for understanding avian intelligence. Filled with enthusiasm at the unexpected discovery of the Myna, Dr. Jane made the pivotal decision to cut his tour short. The chirping melodies of the bird echoed from his hand as he hurriedly gathered his belongings, eager to return home. The scent of the damp earth and blooming flowers lingered in the air, but his thoughts were already racing ahead to his exciting experiment. With a sense of purpose, he embarked on a journey back home, where he could finally begin researching this fascinating creature. As Dr. James stepped through the ornate wooden door of his cozy home, a warm rush of familiar scents enveloped him. The aroma of spices from the kitchen mingling with the subtle fragrance of blooming jasmine wafting in from the garden. In his hands, he gently cradled the striking Myna bird, its plumage a brilliant mixture of deep chestnut and sunlit yellow, elegantly adorned with rich black wing feathers that glistened in the soft evening light. Upon his arrival, his wife, Maya, appeared in the inviting living room. Her long, dark hair cascading over her shoulder framed a face that radiated warmth and affection. Her emerald green eyes sparkled with curiosity as she caught sight of the lively creature resting in his palm. With a playful grin, she leaned closer, her voice lilting excitingly. "Have you given this charming little fellow a name yet?" she inquired, her gaze fixed on the bird that seemed to survey its new surrounding with equal intrigue. Dr. Jane's eyes twinkled with delight as he shared his plans for the Myna. "I'm going to teach him to mimic words using these colorful visual cards I've designed," he explained, gesturing towards the cards showcasing images of fruit, animals, and everyday objects. "So I thought it fitting to name him Mimic." As he spoke, the Myna tilted its head, ready to embark on a journey of playful imagination and companionship in this lively household. As the years unfolded, Mimic blossomed in his ability to communicate in English, utilizing an array of visual cards meticulously crafted by Dr. Jane. His transformation was remarkable. He progressed from simple utterances to articulating complete, expressive sentences, each word infused with a burgeoning confidence. The subtle magic of language captivated him as he absorbed new vocabulary simply by listening, like a sponge soaking up the nuances of sound. Mimic's presence within the Jane household brought an undeniable warmth and lightness, providing comfort that brightened even the weariest of days. After long hours spent navigating the challenges of their professions, the family found solace in his joyful demeanor and playful interactions. He reminded them of the lighter side of life and restored their spirits with infectious laughter and companionship. Chapter 2. Somewhere in Romania. Deep in the enchanting Carpathian mountains of Romania, a chilling legend has taken root, casting a long shadow over the villagers. Whispers tell of a formidable fire spirit, of being of both awe and terror, whose powers can be summoned by those bold enough to chant a secret incantation. On the mysterious night of the third full moon, if one gathers around a crackling campfire and softly utters the words, Dansol facula invata mantranza, which means fire dance, teach me to trance, they may unlock a mind-bending gift, the ability to hypnotize anyone with just a glance. A line between reality and the supernatural blurs as the flames dance and flicker, beckoning the curious to test their fate against the legend that haunts these ancient woods. Farsa, an adept in mystical practices, skillfully invoked the fire spell to unlock the extraordinary ability of hypnosis, a technique that lies at the intersection of psychology and the supernatural. Born in a family burdened by poverty, Farsa's parents could not afford to nurture their child and subsequently entrusted him to a nomadic gypsy caravan. In this bright, mobile community, he found a sense of belonging under the nurturing guidance of his adopted mother, Drina. Drina, a venerable figure steeped in gypsy traditions, imparted to Farsa an extensive repertoire of esoteric knowledge. She taught him the intricate symbolism and methodologies involved in reading tarot cards, allowing him to glean insights into the inner workings of individual lives. In addition to tarot, Farsa mastered the art of palmistry, interpreting the lines of the hands to reveal personality traits and potential life paths. Furthermore, he became skilled in tasseography, an ancient practice of deciphering patterns in tea leaves to predict future events and offer guidance. Through these varied disciplines, Farsa honed his abilities and cultivated a nuanced understanding of human behavior, firmly establishing his place within the realm of mysticism. At the age of 24, a veil of realization swept over Farsa. Fortune-telling was but a fleeting dream, ill-suited for the pursuit of financial stability. He meandered through a series of eclectic jobs, from channeling the emotions of pets as a pet psychic to scrubbing the dust and grime from caravans and even toiling under the sun under a sprawling farm. One fateful day, while seated under the vast sky and engrossed in the art of palm reading just outside of Bucharest, an unexpected interruption fell from the heavens. A crow with glossy feathers reflecting iridescent hues swooped down, clutching a message in its talon. It was a missive of heart-wrenching news. Drina, his mother, had passed away peacefully along the tranquil shores of Bucura Lake. The weight of her loss pressed heavily upon Farsa's chest, plunging him into a dark well of anxiety and introspection. As he grieved, he recalled a bittersweet memory, a sage piece of advice from his mother. She had once told him that if he ever found himself ensnared by despair, he should return to the quaint village of Magura, where they both had grown up. There, he was to seek out a mighty Swiss mountain pine standing sentinel beside a weathered picnic bench, marred by layers of graffiti, a testament to years of forgotten stories. Beneath the roots of that ancient tree lay a hidden box, an artifact of profound significance, containing the whispered words of a spell that could grant him the power to hypnotize others. The spell must be done by invoking the phrase around a fire on the third day of the full moon. Drina's voice echoed a stern warning in his mind. Farsa, you should only unearth the spell when all other avenues are closed off. While it promises the power of hypnosis, it comes with a paradox. Such power might equally ensnare you, trading one form of liberty for another. binding you in ways you could scarcely imagine. Farsa, burdened by his disillusionment and the haunting memory of Drina's absence, embarked on a quest to Magra in search of the ancient spell known to induce hypnosis. The journey led him to a secluded clearing where a majestic Swiss mountain pine stands still, its rough bark contrasting sharply with the worn, painted graffiti adorning a nearby picnic bench from summers long gone. With determination etched across his face, Farsa began to excavate the cold, damp earth beneath the sprawling roots of the tree. He'd lost himself in the rhythmic motion, the chill of the soil seeping through his fingers as he dug deeper into the forgotten past. After a relentless hour of labor, his shovel struck something solid. Heart racing, he uncovered a small, weather-beaten chest, its surface adorned with intricate carvings that have endured the passage of time. Cradling the chest in his arms, Farsa's breath quickened. He pried it open, revealing the chilling words etched inside. Dansa facula invatam transa. With a mischievous grin illuminating his face, he contemplated the power of the incantation. Filled with newfound resolve, he raced into the heart of the forest, gathering kindling and dry branches to fashion a crackling campfire. The third night of the wolf moon lit the forest with a glow, as the flames danced, illuminating the darkness around him. Farsa recited the ancient spell, hoping to unlock its power and alter his fateful course. As he repeated the words of the spell over and over, the flames of the fire grew stronger. Farsa, with eyes wide open, began to stare into the fire, mesmerized by the colors in the flames. The long, mysterious hours of spell casting around the crackling fire slowly surrendered to the first light of dawn as the sun began its ascent, painting the sky in hues of orange and gold. Farsa, with a focused intensity, completed the intricate invocation. In that moment, he unlocked a powerful arcane ability, the mesmerizing power to hypnotize others with a mere glance from his piercing eyes, now shimmering with newfound potency. Farsa strolled along the winding path back to his village, a spark of excitement igniting within him as he contemplated the possibilities of his newfound hypnotic powers. As he approached the weathered cottage of a local sheep farmer, Farsa's heart raced. Today would be the day he pushed the boundaries of his abilities. He rapped gently on the warm wooden door, which creaked open to reveal the burly farmer, his face framed by a bushy beard and sun-kissed skin. At that moment, Farsa focused his gaze as he wove the irresistible spell around the farmer, luring him into a trance. The farmer's eyes glazed over in a matter of moments. Farsa had persuaded him to relinquish a sturdy horse and a handful of gleaming gold coins, tokens of wealth that shone like stars against the backdrop of his mundane life. Farsa mounted the mighty steed with his ill-gotten gains and set off towards the bustling railroad station. The sound of clattering hooves echoed against the cobblestones as he envisioned the lively city of Bucharest, brimming with opportunity and adventure. His ultimate destination? America, where dreams soar and fortunes flourish. With the intoxicating potential of his hypnotic abilities at his fingertips, Farsa felt invincible. The world ahead was filled with promise as he was determined to carve his path to wealth and power, undeterred by the constraints that typically govern ordinary lives. Chapter 3. Farsa arrives in Philadelphia. Farsa stepped off the plane in Philadelphia, his heart racing with excitement and relentless determination to harness the forces that govern power and influence. With a profound sense of opportunity, he walked through the busy area. There, amidst the cacophony of travelers, he spotted a young man energetically hawking gleaming silver watches. With a friendly yet eager demeanor, the vendor approached Farsa, offering his wares with a hopeful smile. Farsa met the young man's gaze, a spark of hypnotic charisma dancing in his eyes. Instantly, he unleashed his extraordinary ability, weaving an invisible thread of persuasion that enveloped the vendor. With a subtle yet commanding presence, he compelled the young man to relinquish not just one watch, but his entire collection. A dazzling array of timepieces that now sparkled in Farsa's grasp, each representing a step closer to the power he so fervently sought. With a self-satisfied grin playing on his lips, Farsa strolled into the bustling city, his eyes shimmering with opportunity. The streets were alive with the sound of merchants hawking their wares and the aroma of spiced street food wafting through the air. He eagerly sought out a cozy pawn shop where he could exchange his sparkling silver for a bit of cash. As he navigated the winding alleys, he also looked for a modest apartment, an intimate space he could call his own amidst the city's lively chaos. As Farsa wandered through the streets, he stumbled upon a thoroughfare known as Jewelers' Row. This luminous street displays an array of elegant jewelry stores, each beckoning passerbys with exotic displays of exquisite diamonds and deep crimson rubies. The storefronts glowed under the midday sun as the air was filled with a subtle mix of excitement and the rich scent of polished metal. Here, merchants skillfully traded precious silver and gold, offering ready cash for those seeking to part with their beloved treasures. It was a haven for anyone looking to indulge in the opulence of fine jewelry or exchange their valuables for a quick influx of money. Farsa entered the jewelry store to exchange his silver for currency. However, he became captivated by the multitude of sparkling objects on display. This overwhelming attraction led him to use his hypnotic ability to persuade the jeweler to relinquish cash and the store's most valuable gemstones. With a triumphant grin, he carefully stowed away a hefty stash of cash alongside high-value jewelry, tucking it all away into a knapsack he found under the counter. Farsa left the shop with a sinister grin as he now aimed to locate a suitable apartment to restore his acquired assets and rest after many long days and nights of travel. Empowered by his recent mastery of hypnosis, Farsa encountered a for rent sign on Elfreth's Alley, one of Philadelphia's oldest streets. He navigated the cobblestone path and knocked on the door of the property in question. Upon answering, the landlord, surprisingly accompanied by a monkey, presented an unusual scenario. "Hello, sir. Meet my cheerful monkey, Miamuta. We're here to help you with whatever you need. What can we do for you today?" Intrigued by this bizarre pairing, Farsa employed his hypnotic abilities, inducing a deep trance in the landlord that surpassed his previous attempts. The intensity of the trance proved so formidable that the landlord collapsed into a catatonic state. Seizing the opportunity, Farsa entered the domicile and carefully placed the landlord on the sofa in the living room. This unexpected amplification of his hypnotic skills raised questions for Farsa. He initially intended to induce a fleeting trance to negotiate living arrangements to rent. Yet the potency of his spell had escalated with each use. Contemplating the ramifications of this development, he concluded that it was prudent to remain inconspicuous until the landlord regained consciousness. from this coma-like condition. As Farsa explored the historical residence, he felt the curious presence of the monkey trailing behind him. Miamuta, why are you trailing behind me like a shadow? Farsa questioned, narrowing his eyes with curiosity. With contagious enthusiasm, the monkey bounced up and down, its eyes filled with excitement as it eagerly trailed behind him into the mysterious depths of the basement. Farsa descended the staircase into the basement, a space that previously served as the kitchen in the colonial period. Upon entering, an inexplicable sensation washed over him. As he surveyed the expansive room, he noted the presence of numerous silver watches meticulously arranged throughout the area. The atmosphere reverberated with the tickling of cuckoo and grandfather clocks, each chiming at different times. The little monkey scurried over to the corner of the room where he spotted a bright red hat and a fun red and gold vest. He happily put on the hat and vest, picked up some finger cymbals, and began to clap joyfully while jumping up and down in excitement. Miamuta! Farsa shouted, eyes wide with disbelief. What in the world is this absurdity you're trying to feed me? At the same time, Farsa thought the monkey could serve his sinister purpose by hypnotizing people. Excellent! Miamuta, your assistance will be crucial in my quest for wealth and power, Farsa declared. He navigated the cluttered basement, deftly maneuvering around various antiquated timepieces until he discovered a black and red zoot suit suspended from the ceiling beams. Intrigued and invigorated, he donned the suit and proclaimed, Miamuta, it's time to execute a brilliant plan, a scheme that will elevate me to the status of the wealthiest individual in Philadelphia. Farsa and Miamuta hastily ascended the staircase, exiting the premises to embark on their initial venture of mischief in the local community. Chapter 4.
The monkey did it!
Dressed to the nines in his sharp suit, Farsa strode down the street, his quirky companion Miamuta the monkey tickling away his finger cymbals. Miamuta, this is just the beginning of the grand adventure filled with riches and power, Farsa declared, a devious grin spreading across his face. As they approached a charming house, Farsa's eyes landed on an older woman standing at the front door, peering out with curiosity. Look at her, Miamuta. She's ripe for our little scheme, he murmured. The woman's face lit up when she spotted the monkey.
Oh my heavens, what a darling monkey! And look at that adorable outfit!
With the eager twinkle in his eye, Farsa and Miamuta made their way closer, the little monkey enthusiastically shaking his cymbals. With a mesmerizing gaze, Farsa locked eyes with the woman, effortlessly slipping her into a trance. While she stood blissfully unaware, Miamuta seized his chance. He darted past her, bounding up the stairs into her bedroom. The glittering treasure on her chest caught his eye. A diamond ring, a radiant ruby necklace, and a collection of dazzling golden bracelets. He stuffed the gems beneath his tiny hat with quick, deft hands. Hurrying back downstairs, Miamuta would join Farsa at the door, where the enchantment held firm. This first stage of their heist is the beginning of the promise of wealth Farsa desires. Until next time, Farsa called out, a rascally grin spreading across his face as he expertly unraveled the enchantment. With a gentle wave of his hand, the woman returned to her true self, her eyes sparkling with surprise and curiosity.
Thank you so much for stopping by. I truly enjoyed our time together. Don't hesitate to drop by again sometime. I'd love to see you.
Oh, we definitely will, Farsa replied, a prankish smirk playing on his lips and a roguish sigh escaping him. Miamuta, We pulled it off, Farsa exclaimed, laughter ringing out as he and Miamuta strolled down the street, eyes gleaming as they scanned for their next target. Meanwhile, the Jane family is savoring a delightful dinner in their warm, sun-drenched kitchen with the enticing aroma of freshly brewed coffee. Mimic filled the atmosphere with playful energy, chirping in a cheerful rendition of the iconic tune Banana Boat, adding a whimsical soundtrack to their morning routine. Maya beamed enthusiastically and said, "Your singing keeps on improving." Mimic, adopting a charming Elvis Presley accent, responded with a playful grin.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Jane stood up from the table and announced, "Well, I'm off to work. I'm ready to tackle another busy day at the office. I'll be home around 5, unless I have to stay late." Maya inquired, "Are you going to take Mimic with you today?" He shook his head, saying, "No, I can't take him today. He'll need to stay with you." "All right, sweetheart. Have a great day at work," Maya replied as Dr. Jane stepped through the front door. After breakfast, Maya tidied up the kitchen before heading upstairs to shower and prepare for her workday. As a freelance writer for the Philadelphia Inquirer, she focused on reviewing local businesses. "Come on, Mimic, let's head upstairs," Maya said cheerfully. Mimic perched on her arm, his feathers shining as he bobbed his head and sang the catchy theme from the Jeffersons.
Well, we're moving on up to the east side. We finally got a piece of the pie.
Maya laughed, charmed by her little companion. "You're such a delight, Mimic," she said as they made their way up the stairs. Maya jumped into the shower and started to sing her favorite song, Singing in the Rain. "I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling." As she began to wash her hair, she heard Mimic, her pet, sitting on his branch in the bedroom, responding in song.
I'm happy again. I'm laughing at clouds so dark up above. The sun in my heart, and I'm ready for love.
Maya laughed and exclaimed,
"Mimic, I never knew you could sing Singing in the Rain."
Mimic burst into a joyful, cheerful laugh, echoing the playful sounds of the Myna. He seamlessly transitioned into a familiar melody. As Farsa and Miamuta approached the Jane residence, they became an unlikely spectacle. Striding boldly down the center of the street, Farsa's shoulders bore the weight of Miamuta, who perched atop like an eccentric king, clinking his finger cymbals in a rhythmic beat. The scene was nothing short of a circus performance, drawing the attention of passerbys who couldn't help but wave enthusiastically at the pair, treating them like actual celebrities. This was the moment Farsa had longed for, a taste of wealth and notoriety. With a glint of mischief, Farsa glanced at Miamuta and quipped, "Look at them, waving like we're someone important. If they only knew what we have in store for them." A sly grin crept across his face as his words hung in the air, thick with promise and intrigue. Meanwhile, Maya is in the bedroom, fixing her hair at the antique vanity they brought back from India. Mimic interjected with a rendition of "You Are So Beautiful to Me," employing a gravelly vocal style reminiscent of Joe Cocker. In response, Maya expressed her appreciation. "Mimic, your unique ability to entertain is unparalleled. I genuinely can't imagine navigating my day-to-day without your company." A knock echoed at the front door, interrupting the calm environment. Maya, intrigued by the sudden disturbance, inquired, "Who could that be?" She proceeded to descend the stairs, each step reflecting her growing curiosity as she approached the entrance. Meanwhile, Mimic meticulously preened his feathers for a display. His tongue moved with precision over each plume while he intermittently produced the melody of "Whistle While You Work." This charming activity added a delightful backdrop to the moment, as Maya prepared to unveil the identity of her unexpected visitor. As Maya slowly opened the door, she witnessed an astonishing sight. Farsa, an imposing figure at 6 feet 4 inches, stood before her, dressed in a sharply tailored black zoot suit that accentuated his commanding presence. His long, curly mustache curled dramatically at the edges, and atop his head sat a striking top hat that added an air of mystery. Beside him, Miamuta, a charming monkey, donned a red vest and a jaunty little hat. With an infectious enthusiasm, he clanged his finger cymbals together, creating a lively, rhythmic sound that filled the air. "What is the nature of this extraordinary occurrence?" Maya asked, her curiosity ignited by the whimsical spectacle. Farsa, with a flourish and an evil look in his eye, responded, "I am the illustrious Farsa, and this is my remarkable partner Miamuta. We have come to provide you with a delightful entertainment experience." Maya stood entranced, her mind racing with confusion at the unfolding scene. Just then, Farsa locked his gaze onto hers, unleashing the mesmerizing power of his hypnosis spell. Suddenly, her eyes took on a glassy sheen, and she slipped into a trance, lost in the depths of his gaze. The world around her faded away, leaving only the enchanting pull of Farsa's will. The door creaked ever so slightly, hanging ajar like an invitation to a hidden world inside. Miamuta's pulse quickened as he peered through the narrowing gap, his eyes beaming at the thought of the regal treasures he longed to snatch. However, he couldn't squeeze through the narrow opening. A spark of mischief ignited within him as he pivoted on his heel and raced around the side of the house. His gaze shot up to the second-story window of her bedroom, where the curtains danced softly in the breeze, beckoning him closer. With adrenaline surging through his veins, he crouched low, then launched himself upward, fingertips outstretched towards the rough exterior of the house. As he climbed higher, the thrill of the chase consumed him, and the promise of shiny treasures awaited just within his reach. As Miamuta ascended through the window, he observed Maya's array of reflective items adorning her vanity. Prominently featured was an exquisite gold necklace, its centerpiece a stunning red emerald that refracted sunlight, creating a dazzling light display. Captivated by this sight, Miamuta exhibited palpable excitement as he jumped up and down and laughed in delight. Mimic, perched on his branch in the corner of the room, saw the monkey enter the window and watched him jumping up and down. He began to chirp the melody of the Who's famous song, "Who are you? Who? Miamuta, with a glimmer of mischief in his eyes, watched as Mimic swayed gently, his eyes bobbing in rhythm with the melody he sang. However, the captivating tune failed to distract Miamuta from his true objective. He darted towards Maya's ornate vanity, his nimble fingers grasping her cherished red emerald necklace, a dazzling piece that sparkled like a drop of blood against the delicate fabric surrounding it. When Mimic caught sight of the theft, an instinctual surge of determination ignited within him. Flailing his limbs in a comical frenzy, he soared through the air, desperate to intercept the monkey before he could escape with the precious jewel. Yet, Miamuta's speed outmatched Mimic's frantic chase. In a flash, he slipped through the window, slamming it shut behind him with a resounding thud, effectively sealing Mimic's chances of pursuit. With agility that belied his size, Miamuta scaled the exterior walls of the house. Upon reaching the ground, he joined forces with Farsa, who remained enraptured in mesmerizing Maya. "Miamuta," Farsa articulated slowly, with a deliberate and measured tone. "Did you obtain any noteworthy items from her bedroom?" Miamuta then reached into his vest pocket and retrieved a striking red emerald necklace, its brilliance captivating in the light. Farsa's expression changed as he observed the necklace, his eyes reflecting admiration as he stated, "What a remarkable display!
Excellent work, Miamuta. Let us proceed home to have lunch, for we have been quite productive this morning.
Farsa gently unwrapped the tendrils of his spell from Maya, allowing her to awaken from the deep trance that had held her captive. Blinking against the bright light, she gazed at him with bewildered eyes, her voice a gentle whisper. What just happened? With a calm yet unsettling smile, Farsa assured her.
You were merely captivated by the dancing monkey, lost in its playful antics and the rhythmic clinking of the finger cymbals. It's easy to lose oneself in such moments.
His eyes glinted with mischief as he added ominously.
It happens all the time.
As the fading echoes of his words lingered in the air, he gestured toward the horizon, where a path stretched into the distance.
By now, my dear, we must set forth. A long journey back home awaits us.
In a whirlwind of confusion, Maya shut the front door with a decisive click. As she turned, she saw Mimic, who soared down the steps, his feathers shimmering in the light. With amusing and baffling insistence, he squawked, "The monkey did it! The monkey did it!" Momentarily taken back, Maya replied, "What exactly did you mean the monkey did it? I was just outside with him, watching him as he danced, his little finger cymbals glinting in the sun." But Mimic remained undeterred, flapping his wings as he ascended the staircase, his mantra echoing still, "The monkey did it!" Intrigued and slightly anxious, Maya followed him into the bedroom, where a sense of foreboding began to settle over her. Mimic perched regally on the vanity, his yellow and black plumage contrasting sharply with the pale wood below. Then Maya's heart sank. At first glance, her gaze swept across the surface, only to view the empty space where her cherished necklace once lay. "Oh no! My red emerald necklace is missing!" she exclaimed, her voice tremulous with distress as panic clutched at her chest. Meanwhile, Mimic rhythmically bobbed his head, relentlessly declaring, "The monkey did it! The monkey did it!" Chapter 5. Officer O'Brien. Maya's heart raced as she turned to Mimic, her eyes wide with shock. "Mimic, what am I supposed to do?" Her voice quivered with fear and confusion. "Did that man hypnotize me? And did his monkey swipe my necklace?" The weight of the bizarre situation bore down on her like an anchor, leaving her struggling to make sense of the chaos that had just unfolded. "Maybe I should call Zampa. He always knows what to do." She sighed heavily. Just then, Mimic infused some levity into the tense atmosphere by bobbing up and down, singing a lively rendition of "Somebody Get Me a Doctor," a classic hit by Van Halen. "Mimic, this is not the time for jokes," she exclaimed, her frustration bubbling. "I'm seriously distraught. I need to reach Zampa. No!" Maya grasped the phone tightly, her heart racing as she dialed Zampa, who was ensconced in the bustling of his workplace. "Zampa, you won't believe what just happened!" she exclaimed, her voice quaking with trepidation. "What is it, Maya?" Zampa replied, sensing the gravity in her tone. A rush of emotions enveloped Maya as she recounted the bizarre encounter. "A tall, shadowy figure appeared at the doorstep, draped in an extravagant black zoot suit. He had a mischievous monkey with him, expertly playing these finger cymbals, filling the air with a curious rhythm. The man's presence was hypnotic. He seemed to cast a spell over me, while the monkey scurried up to our bedroom and snatched my precious red emerald necklace right off my dresser." Her voice quivered, tearing, threatening to spill. "What are you talking about, Maya?" Zampa exclaimed. Disbelief etched across his face. "I know it sounds surreal," Maya replied, desperation lacing her words. "But I swear, my necklace is gone." "Just take a deep breath and try to stay calm," Zampa instructed, his voice steadying. "I'm leaving work now to rush home and assess the situation. In the meantime, you must contact the police. We must file a formal report." Maya's eyes widened in disbelief as she glanced around. "This is unbelievable! I can't believe this is happening to me!" she exclaimed, her voice rising in astonishment. Just then, Mimic's melodic voice cut through the air, pouring out the iconic notes of
I can't explain.
by The Who. The unexpected sound wrapped around her like a warm hug, and she felt a wave of laughter bubble up inside her. With a vibrant smile breaking through her early tension, she declared, "Humor is the best medicine!" Maya's laughter filled the room, infectious and bright, as she turned to Mimic, gratitude shining in her eyes. "Thank you, Mimic, for lightening up this mood." Maya grasped the cool receiver, her heart racing as she dialed the police. The hum of the line faded into an unsettling stillness until a dry, monotone voice broke through.
Philadelphia Police Department, how may I help you?
With a shaky breath, Maya replied, "My name is Maya Jane, and I need to report a robbery." "Go ahead, tell me what happened." The dispatcher droned, his tone dripping with skepticism. Maya's voice trembled as she recounted the bizarre events. "A man came to my door. He had a monkey with him. He somehow put me in a trance while the monkey snatched my necklace right off my vanity." The dispatcher's voice turned sharp, tinged with disbelief.
You do realize it's a crime to lie to the police and fabricate a report, don't you? Is this a joke, ma'am?
Maya felt a sense of irritation. "This isn't a joke. My necklace is gone, and I'm certain that strange man and its monkey are behind this."
Fine. We'll send someone to your home, Mrs. Jane,"
he replied, a hint of reluctance in his voice. Relieved yet still on edge, Maya uttered a heartfelt, "Thank you so much." As she hung up the phone, she faintly heard the dispatcher mutter under his breath, "I thought I heard it all. That lady needs some serious help." The weight of disbelief hung thick in the air, but Maya knew the truth of what had just occurred and felt a chill run down her spine. As Maya hung up the phone, the front door burst open. Zampa rushed in with an urgency that filled the room. Ishi! Where are you, my love?" His voice a blend of concern and desperation. "I'm in the kitchen, Zampa," Maya replied, her heart swelling with relief as she dashed toward him. She enveloped him in a warm embrace, feeling the weight of their shared worries melt away, if only for a moment. "It's okay. We will unravel this mystery and reclaim your cherished necklace," Zampa reassured her, his deep eyes filled with determination. Maya gently whispered in Zampa's ear, "Thank you for leaving work and believing in this seamlessly mad tale." "Maya," he said earnestly, his voice steady, "I know you don't weave falsehoods." There was a gravity to his words that danced around them. "You were always honest, and I have heard whispers of ancient legends from India, of people who possess the power to hypnotize with just a piercing gaze." The confidence in his voice quelled Maya's doubt. A series of pronounced knocks resonated throughout the room, signaling the presence of an individual at the front door. Zampa remarked, "That must be the police. Please remain here while I attend the door." When he opened the door, he saw Officer O'Brien waiting there. He invited Officer O'Brien inside the house. "Good afternoon, officer. This is my wife, Maya, and we believe that our residence has been the target of a burglary." Officer O'Brien introduced himself, stating, "Hello, I'm Officer O'Brien. Please describe the events that transpired," as he produced a notepad and pen for documentation. Unexpectedly, Mimic began to sing the theme song from the television program Cops.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
Zampa, recognizing the inappropriateness of this interruption, gently admonished, "Not now, Mimic. We must prioritize the seriousness of this situation." Officer Bryan, momentarily startled by the bird's vocalization, inquired, "Did that bird just perform the theme song to Cops?" "Indeed, officer," Zampa replied. "This is Mimic the Myna. I have devoted significant time in training him, and I am confident that he will possess remarkable cognitive abilities, potentially establishing him as one of the most intelligent avian species." Maya explained the situation with the man and the monkey thief, and surprisingly, Officer O'Brien took her for her word. "I would like to go to the scene of the crime. Where did this monkey take your necklace, ma'am?" he said. "He took it from my vanity in the bedroom. I'll take you there now," explained Maya. As Officer O'Brien stepped into the bedroom, his eyes immediately glanced at the peculiar scratch marks on the paint of the windowsill. They resembled claw marks, jagged and unsettling. "Could this be the exit point for the monkey? He pondered aloud. Still dazed by earlier events, Maya replied, I wasn't in the room then. I was caught in a trance, fixated on that man standing at my front door. Intrigued, Officer O'Brien pressed on. What did this man look like? Maya recalled vividly. He was tall, with jet black hair and curly mustache. He wore a striking top hat atop his head and a sleek black zoot suit that gave him an air of mystery. O'Brien furrowed his brow and asked, And what about the monkey? A spark of excitement crossed Maya's face as she described, Oh, the monkey. He was a lively gray creature, sporting a bright and red hat and an elaborate red and gold vest. He even had a pair of cymbals perched on his fingers, clanging away playfully. As the pieces of this bizarre puzzle began to come together, Officer O'Brien's curiosity grew deeper. Is this where your necklace was kept? The officer asked, gesturing towards the disheveled vanity in the corner. Yes. Maya responded, her voice barely above a whisper. The officer's gaze swept across the chaotic scene as he took in the overturned drawers and scattered trinkets. I can see that there was a struggle here, he remarked, noting the disarray that filled the room, starkly contrasting its usual elegance. Out of the blue, a tiny voice emerged, melodic and bright, as if conjured from thin air.
I tried to stop the monkey,
chirped Mimic, flitting gracefully through the air. Officer O'Brien's heart raced as he spun around, bewilderment etched across his face. Where is that voice coming from? He wondered aloud. Just then, Mimic landed gently on the officer's forearm, his tiny body sparkling against the uniform. With serene certainty, he declared,
Hello. My name is Mimic the Myna. The monkey did it.
Shocked by the talking bird, the officer asked, Did you see the monkey come through the window?
Yes.
Mimic bobbed his head in affirmation. Did you see the monkey take the necklace? The officer continued.
Yes,
replied Mimic. And you saw the monkey exit the room through the window? The officer pressed on.
Uh-huh.
Mimic said slowly and comically. Let me clarify this bizarre tale, Officer Brian said as he focused on Maya. So, a stranger knocked at your door, and when you opened it, you saw a man accompanied by a monkey. Immediately after, you experienced a sudden lapse in memory and regained consciousness to find Mimic chirping the monkey did it. You then went upstairs and discovered your missing necklace, with Mimic being the sole witness to this peculiar incident? Yes, officer. That's exactly what happened, Maya confirmed, her gaze steady and unwavering. Officer O'Brien held his composure amid the swirling chaos of the bizarre tale before him. Many would have scoffed and dismissed it outright. Instead, he meticulously documented every detail, treating this peculiar incident with the same gravity as any crime he had encountered. With a steady voice, he said, I'm heading down to the office to finalize this report. I'll also delve into the mystery surrounding this unusual character with the monkey. Wishing you a good day, and I truly regret your loss. His sincerity lingered in the air long after he closed the door. As the latch clicked shut, Maya sprang into Zampa's waiting embrace. What a crazy day! She exclaimed, her voice bubbling with the excitement of a whirlwind adventure. Chapter 6. Farsa got caught. Officer O'Brien strode into the bustling station. His footsteps echoed on the polished floor as he approached Stacy, the ever-vigilant desk officer.
Hey, Officer O'Brien. How did your investigation in the burglary go?
She asked. Curiosity lit up her face. With a bemused smile, he replied, It was quite peculiar. The resident described an unusual encounter. She claimed a tall man dressed in a sharp black suit stood at her front door, his presence unsettling yet strangely captivating. To add to this bizarre scene, a small monkey sat beside him, rhythmically clashing finger cymbals, filled the air with a whimsical sound. He paused for a moment, recalling the resident's words. She went on to say that their pet Myna bird, who could mimic human speech with uncanny accuracy, revealed the man's identity. The bird Mimic witnessed the monkey sneak through an open window and made off with an expensive necklace, It was a case that felt more out of the scene of a surreal film than a typical burglary. But in this world, who knows? Stacy propped herself up, one eye wide open and her head slightly tilted in thought.
Well, that's quite bizarre.
She mused, her voice laced with disbelief.
That tale sounds fantastical. But what's even stranger is that we just received a call from a resident just a few blocks away reporting the same thing.
Are you serious? The officer replied with a blend of intrigue and skepticism.
Yes, it's identical to Tall Man and his peculiar monkey. How could I possibly fabricate something like that?
Her voice resonated with a convincing earnestness that hung in the air. Interesting. Officer O'Brien muttered, gently removing his cap and scratching his head in contemplation as he handed his notes to Stacy. I'm heading into the neighborhood. I intend to see what I can uncover and who this mysterious character with the elusive monkey is. Simultaneously, Farsa and Miamuta returned to the residence they were unlawfully inhabiting. Upon opening the door, Farsa observed the property owner slumped on the couch in a state of dissociation. That was the most advanced incantation I've executed to date, he remarked with a subversive smile directed at Miamuta. Come and admire these exquisite jewels. Farsa called out, his voice echoing as he descended the staircase into the dimly lit basement, excitement dancing in his eyes. Farsa basked in the euphoric sense of invincibility, perched triumphantly atop the world. Having unearthed an ancient hypnosis spell, he had journeyed to America, where fortune smiled upon him, granting him a lavish house, a mischievous monkey companion, and a cunning plan to swindle unsuspecting victims of their most cherished belongings. As he settled into the tattered chair that creaked under the weight, Farsa propped his feet up defiantly on the cluttered desk, a wicked grin spreading across his face. One day, the great Farsa will reign over the city, he declared, his voice dripping with malevolence as he erupted into a sinister laugh that echoed off the dingy walls. As Farsa took pride in recounting his malevolent actions, Officer O'Brien proceeded to the neighborhood where the recent burglaries had transpired. The officer arrived at the residence, a standard row home typical of Philadelphia, constructed of brick with a concrete porch featuring a railing. On the porch, an older woman sat in a weathered rocking chair, her face marked by deep wrinkles that conveyed a lifetime of experiences, now overshadowed by a profound sense of disappointment. Good afternoon, ma'am. Could you please describe the events that transpired this morning? Officer O'Brien inquired courteously. In a voice tinged with nervousness, she replied,
Certainly. Earlier today, a man accompanied by a small monkey approached my door. At first, I found this present amusing. The monkey exhibited playful behavior, which elicited laughter from me. However, I subsequently experienced a lapse in memory regarding the subsequent events. Upon regaining my composure and ascending the stairs to my bedroom, I discovered that my valuable jewelry had been taken. I am currently grappling with confusion regarding the situation and find it difficult to comprehend such an event could have occurred.
Her eyes reflected a mixture of anxiety and bewilderment, indicative of her struggle to make sense of this unsettling circumstances she had encountered that morning. I'm sorry to hear about that, said Officer O'Brien. Did you see where the man came from when he walked up to talk with you? While pointing her finger across the street, the older woman said,
He came from that small alleyway that leads to Jewelers Row.
With a sense of determination, Officer O'Brien thanked the older woman and made his way across the street and into the alleyway. Walking through the alleyway and coming out the other side, Officer O'Brien found himself on Jewelers Row. While slowly perusing the scene, a man came running out of the store.
Hey, yo, officer. I need to report a robbery that happened earlier today. A tall guy, probably over 6 feet, with unkempt black hair and curly mustache, bursts into my store. He wore ragged, dirty clothes. They looked like they hadn't been washed in days. And it was as if he had some kind of magic. I felt completely dazed and unable to react while he casually swept aside my cash, along with silver items and an assortment of valuable jewels. He vanished so quickly leaving me in shock and disbelief.
This marked the third time in just 24 hours that I have encountered reports of this elusive figure who possessed the uncanny ability to induce a trance in his victims, leaving them vulnerable while he pilfered their belongings. It's becoming increasingly apparent that he must have been lurking somewhere in the vicinity as the string of crimes unfolded within an eerily close radius, remarked Officer O'Brien, concern etched on his face.
Well, whatever this weirdo's case is, I hope you can find this man who wreaked havoc in our neighborhood,
said the jewelry store owner. Don't worry, a guy like this will stand out like a sore thumb. I'll find him, and that's for sure. Have a good day, sir. As Officer O'Brien carefully scanned the neighborhood, Farsa emerged from the shadowy depths of his basement, ascending the stairs with a purposeful stride. He walked into the kitchen, where the dim light flickered off the bare countertops, accentuating the emptiness surrounding him.
All this spell weaving is swirling my appetite into a tempest,
Farsa declared, his voice echoed against the cold walls. A mischievous smile curled on his lips as he surveyed the barren shelves.
There's not a morsel to eat in this kitchen. I'm heading out for a feast fit for royalty. I've got an insatiable craving for a juicy steak at a swanky restaurant.
He glanced down at the small furry creature, offering a playful wink.
And for you, my little sweet Miamuta, I'll grab some monkey chow to satisfy your appetite.
He concluded, his eyes filled with delight as he made his way toward the door, ready to celebrate his accomplishments. As Farsa firmly closed the door behind him, he stepped into the cobblestones of Elf Breath Sally. The tantalizing aroma of roasted meats hovered from nearby eateries, stimulating his appetite and guiding his thoughts toward the prospect of a satisfying steak dinner. At that precise moment, Officer O'Brien turned the corner, clad in his neatly pressed uniform that reflected his commitment to duty. As he entered the alley, his boots struck the stones with a rhythmic cadence. Their eyes met in a fleeting moment of recognition, and the officer's expression shifted to one of heightened alertness. He identified Farsa as the suspect linked to a series of recent thefts troubling the neighborhood. "Excuse me, you there!" Officer O'Brien called out, his voice projecting authority and urgency. "I would appreciate it. You would come over here. I have a few questions to discuss." Farsa, emboldened by his unique ability to manipulate perception through hypnosis, felt an unwavering confidence surging within him. With a measured gait, he approached the officer, his demeanor exuding nonchalance.
Good evening, officer. How may I assist you this fine night?
He replied, infusing his words with an undertone of charm that suggested he was more than willing to cooperate. The officer scrutinized Farsa as he sought to reconcile the man before him with the description he had received. "You do bear striking resemblance to an individual reported to be involved in a series of burglaries within this area. Is that the residence from which you have just emerged?" He gestured toward the house. An unspoken challenge lingered in the air as he awaited Farsa's response.
Yes, it is, officer.
Farsa replied, his voice smooth as silk, while his eyes locked onto the officer's with an electric intensity. He attempted to weave his hypnotic spell, hoping to draw the officer into his enchanting thrall. However, Officer O'Brien remained unfazed. "Why are you staring at me like that? Are you trying to work your magic on me, just like you did with that jeweler, the Jane family, and their neighbor?" Farsa's heart raced. His spell was failing. He widened his eyes further. Desperation crept into his expression as he choreographed intricate hand movements, each gesture a plea for power. But then Officer O'Brien's voice cut through the air like a knife. "All right, enough of this. Your little magic act won't fool me," he declared confidently, pulling out a shiny pair of handcuffs from his pocket. With a swift motion, he secured them around Farsa's wrist. The cold metal clinking ominously sealed his fate. Chapter 7. Down to the Station. As the cold metal of the handcuffs clinked around Farsa's wrists, a sudden commotion erupted as Miamuta, his lively pet monkey, flung open the window with frantic energy. The little creature sprang out and dashed like a fur-coated comet towards the scene. His brow crinkled in confusion. Officer O'Brien exclaimed, "What's going on here? Is this the mischievous monkey assisting you in your clever scheme?" Farsa, still grappling with the shock of his failed spell, responded incredulously.
This is Miamuta, my pet monkey. I have no idea what you mean. I was merely stepping out to grab dinner for myself and some snacks for my little friend here.
All right, whatever you say. It's time to head down to the station. Your days of pulling the wool over people's eyes are coming to a close, the officer declared, determination engraved on his face. Miamuta, the mischievous monkey, scurried onto Farsa's shoulder, perched like a feathered thief. As they proceeded down the cracked pavement, Farsa felt the weight of his misdeeds becoming more apparent with every heavy step towards the looming police station. On their way to the station, Farsa couldn't help but wonder,
why isn't my spell working anymore? Something's off.
He glanced down and spotted a flickering light near Officer O'Brien's badge.
What's that next to your badge?
Farsa asked. The officer shot back. I'm not talking to you. That's a gift from my wife, Krina. You just be quiet. We're almost at the station. Farsa looked up at the sky and murmured,
Krina.
His mind started racing.
Myna is a Romanian name, and the only gift she'd give her husband, especially in March, would be a martysaur. That's why my spell is on the fritz. He's got this good luck amulet on his uniform. I need to get my hands on that martysaur.
Officer O'Brien strode purposefully into the bustling police station, the weight of responsibility evident in his gait. He guided Farsa, whose eyes darted nervously, while Miamuta clung to his shoulders, his small frame perched like a mischievous sprite. The air was thick with the scent of coffee and the faint hum of muffled conversations as Officer O'Brien approached the imposing iron bars of the jail cell. With a deliberate motion, he swung open the heavy door. Its metallic creak echoed through the room. He ushered them into the cold, hard concrete of the cell. You'll have to stay in here for a while, he declared, his voice a blend of authority and resolve. We'll call the witnesses and bring you into the lineup room, along with your monkey. He closed the door with a definitive clang, sealing them as the reality of their situation settled like a heavy fog around them. As Farsa slumped against the cold, damp wall of the jail cell, he glanced over at his companion Miamuta. With a conspiratorial glint in his eyes, Farsa leaned closer and whispered,
When he finally arrives to spring us from this wretched place, we need to grab that martysaur and destroy it.
The faint sound of distant footsteps resonated down the hallway, heightening the attention of their conversation. Officer O'Brien walked toward the cell. The jangle of keys jingled in the otherwise silent corridor. As he unlocked the heavy door, Farsa and Miamuta lunged at the officer, eyes fixed on the coveted martysaur. But O'Brien was quicker. With a swift swing of his billy club, he sent them careening to the side, his voice low and steady. Don't ever think about it. You're pushing your luck. Now you got an assault charge to think about, too. He seized both troublemakers by the scruffs of their necks and marched them down the hallway to the lineup room. Inside, the tension hummed thick in the air, where Zampa and Maya waited, along with the visibly upset jewelry store owner and the older woman. All eyes turned to Farsa and Miamuta as the pieces of their criminal puzzle were about to fall apart. Is this the individual and the monkey you observed earlier today? Officer O'Brien asked, his tone firm yet measured. Visibly nervous but resolute, the witnesses exchanged glances filled with recognition before they collectively exclaimed, That's him! Thank you for your cooperation. We will proceed to detain them at the station until the arraignment process can commence. Officer O'Brien replied. As the witnesses stepped out of the brightly lit interrogation room, the atmosphere felt charged with a mix of relief and apprehension. Farsa, meanwhile, made his way back to the dimly lit holding area, and Miamuta went to the local zoo, where they posted a missing monkey sign. Farsa remained in handcuffs this time as a consequence of his recent attempt to unlawfully seize the intricately designed Martysaur. The cold steel was a harsh reminder of his impulsive actions. As he sat in the small, stark room, the weight of his choices bore down on him, heightening the palpable tension as they awaited the inevitable legal proceedings ahead. After enduring countless days in the dim confines of the holding cell, Farsa was finally summoned for his arraignment, yet still scheming to take the Martysaur from Officer O'Brien. Meanwhile, Miamuta, the spirited little monkey with a knack for mischief, was joyfully returned to his rightful owner, who with a mix of relief and excitement spotted the vibrant missing monkey sign. The reunion was filled with laughter and affection as Miamuta leapt into familiar arms, his small, agile form bursting with energy. Farsa sauntered confidently into the Grand Magistrate building, flanked by the stern figure of Officer O'Brien, whose authoritative presence seemed to cast a shadow over him. They stood in the ornate chamber, its walls decorated with intricate carvings, as they awaited the judge's arrival. With a measured step, Judge Chino entered, his robe flowing behind him like dark storm clouds. He took his seat at the elevated bench, fixing his piercing eyes upon Farsa. "On the charge of attempted robbery, how do you plead?" The judge's voice boomed throughout the room.
Not guilty.
Farsa replied, his tone steady, masking the flicker of mischief in his eyes. The judge's expression shifted, narrow and appraised, ready for the next question. "And on the assault and battery against a police officer, how do you plead?" Farsa suddenly darted his gaze toward him as the judge spoke, his will weaving an almost tangible thread of influence.
Not guilty.
He intoned, his voice soft as butter. Under the spell woven by Farsa, the judge's demeanor changed. He began to speak in a slow, garbled manner, each word tumbling out as if through a heavy fog. "There's no reason to hold this man in jail. He's not a flight risk." Eyes wide with disbelief, Officer O'Brien stepped forward, his face a mixture of confusion and anger. "Knock that magic stuff off!" He seized Farsa's shoulder, shaking him roughly to break the hypnotic hold. Annoyance flickered across Farsa's face, his frustration palpable. In a flash, he dove toward O'Brien, fingers outstretched to grasp at the officer's chest, attempting to gain possession of the small, colorful Martysaur. The officer swiftly swatted his hand away, grounding Farsa back into the present reality. "You're incorrigible, and I'm locking you back up." At that very moment, the judge broke free from the trance. He pointed a finger at Farsa, his voice now thunderous. "You and your magic are a threat to society. If it were within my power, I would imprison you this instant. But in this country, you were innocent until proven guilty." A heavy silence fell over the room as the judge leaned back. His resolute gaze swept the chamber. "The trial will start tomorrow. Take this man out of my courtroom!" The weight of his words lingered in the air with the promise of an upcoming battle of wits and shadows. Chapter 8. The Trial Begins. "Hear ye," rang the court crier's voice through the hushed atmosphere of the courtroom. His call bounced off the polished wooden wall. "Please rise for the Honorable Judge Sutton." The air was tense as the diverse crowd of local neighbors filled the benches, their faces carved with concern and curiosity. At the defense counsel table, Farsa sat poised yet apprehensive, representing himself with a resolve that contradicted the weight of his predicament. Across the aisle, the plaintiff's counsel table exuded a different energy, where the esteemed attorney Alistair Wink, affectionately known as Ali, sat with an air of confidence. A slight smile played at the corners of his mouth as he expertly organized his notes, ready to champion his cause. Ali rose gracefully from his seat at the counsel table, his gaze steady and determined as he approached the jury. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury," he began, his voice firm with conviction. "What we have before us is not just a case, but a disturbing narrative centered around this man," he said as he gestured towards Farsa, who sat at the defense table with a disturbingly confident smile shone on his lips. "This trial will unveil the testimonies of 3 remarkable individuals, each of whom had the misfortune of crossing paths with this man.
After their encounters, each discovered that treasured possessions of great value had vanished without a trace. This straightforward case is anything but ordinary, and I urge you to consider the threads of deceit that have been woven through this community by this man. Together, let us ensure that his spree of burglaries ends here and justice prevails for those wronged. As Ali takes his seat, Farsa rose gracefully from the defense table, his movements deliberate and measured. He glided towards the jury. His slow and seductive demeanor drew their attention like a moth to a flame. With an almost languid tone and eyes wide as saucers, he prepared to unleash the potent spell of hypnosis upon them. His smooth and velvety voice filled the silent courtroom as he intoned,
If I have stolen anything from these fine individuals, I must be most eager to know where all these treasured possessions reside. To my eyes, it seems they are nowhere to be seen.
He pauses for effect, letting his words settle in the air like a heavy mist.
But I am a newcomer to this community, longing to forge friendships, just as anyone would when seeking a place to call home.
A sinister grin crept across Farsa's lips. The corners of his mouth lifted in a way that sent a shiver through the room. He watched in satisfaction as his words weaved their magic. The jury's once alert expressions dulled into a vacant, hypnotized stare, their eyes devoid of focus, as if reality itself had been wrapped in a fog, leaving them adrift in his influence. I would like to call my first witness to the stand, Ali announced, his voice commanding attention in the solemn courtroom. The jewelry store owner, a middle-aged man with salt and pepper hair and deep lines chiseled into his forehead, approached the stand hesitantly. He glanced nervously at the jury. His eyes betrayed a mixture of anxiety and desperation as he prepared to share his harrowing experience. With a frustrated tone, he began to recount the surreal events that had transpired within the confines of his shop. It'd been a typical day. I just cleaned my store and I was working on fixing a customer's watch. Then without warning, this guy came in. A weird-looking dude with jet black hair and a curly mustache. As he spoke, I found myself entranced or something by his crazy eyes. It's as if my world had dimmed like a dream or something where time stood still. When I finally woke up from that disorienting stupor, my heart sank. I noticed that countless coins and priceless pieces of my jewelry had vanished without a trace. Did you see Farsa take any coins or jewelry? Ali asked. The store owner replied, No, I didn't. Everything happened so fast. Ali inquired, As a store owner, you probably had a camera in the shop. Did you check out the footage from that day? Unfortunately, the surveillance cameras were not working right. There was like some thin layer of film that developed over the lens, obscuring the view where all the images were hazy and indistinct. The store owner recounted, his expression a mixture of frustration and regret. Ali, his determination evident in his furrowed brow, pressed with further details, asking, Were there any customers or other individuals present in the store during this incident? The store owner hesitated, lowering his gaze, and shook his head slowly. No, it was just me alone at the counter and that strange guy, he said, gesturing towards Farsa, who sat quietly nearby, observing the conversation with a composed demeanor. Ali addressed the judge, stating, No more questions, Your Honor, before returning to his seat. Farsa stood up from his seat and approached the witness stand with a composed demeanor, prepared to interrogate the store owner.
Did you observe my entry into your store?
He inquired. Yeah, the store owner confirmed. Farsa then said,
Do you remember my request for directions to the Betsy Veral's house?
The store owner appeared momentarily flustered and replied, No. Farsa thoughtfully placed a finger on his chin and with a contemplative expression addressed the jury.
It appears that this individual may have a lapse of memory. I entered his establishment, requested directions, expressed my gratitude by saying thank you, and departed. It is conceivable that he may have faced financial losses through gambling and is now attempting to attribute this crime to me as a means of recuperating his losses.
The store owner, visibly agitated, retorted, "Yo, how dare you accuse me of gambling? I don't know how you tricked me, buddy, but you won't get away with this craziness." Farsa met the judge's gaze and respectfully stated,
I have no further inquiries at this time, Your Honor.
Before returning to his seat, the atmosphere in the courtroom charged with tension as he settled back down. A heavy silence enveloped the courtroom as the store owner wrapped up his emotional testimony. The jury, still visibly under Farsa's spell, wore expressions of doubt, their brows furrowed in skepticism. They exchanged uncertain glances as if they grappled with the notion that the store owner might be fabricating an elaborate tale rather than sharing the painful truth of his experience. Ali, his eyes narrowing with determination to pin the crime on Farsa, summoned the following witness, the older woman, Mrs. Baldry. Mrs. Baldry, please share with the jury what transpired during your encounter with Farsa and his peculiar monkey, Miamuta.
Absolutely.
Mrs. Baldry began, her voice steady but tinged with unease.
I was seated at my table enjoying a quiet breakfast when the doorbell rang. I opened the door and saw that man with a dressed-up monkey by his side,
She said, pointing a shaky finger at Farsa amid the crowded courtroom.
He smiled wildly at me. I felt a strange dizziness wash over me as I gazed into his eyes, like being swept into a dream. The details of our conversation are a blur. After he and his monkey left, I closed the door, feeling oddly unsettled, and went upstairs to my bedroom to take a nap. Then a wave of panic hit me. I discovered that some of my cherished jewelry was missing.
When was the last time you laid eyes on your jewelry? Ali asked, his voice sharp and probing.
I polished my silver necklace and arranged my gold rings just yesterday.
Mrs. Baldry responded, her eyes filled with concentration. Are you certain you didn't place your jewelry somewhere else? Ali pressed, his gaze unwavering.
I never moved my jewelry from my desk.
Mrs. Baldry stated firmly, a flicker of passion igniting in her tone.
It has remained untouched since my husband passed away a decade ago.
After realizing it was gone, did you immediately notify the police? Ali inquired, leaning in closer.
Yes, I called them right away. It struck me as deeply unsettling that after my encounter with that man and his monkey, of which I have no clear memory, my beloved Julie vanished without a trace.
She said, her voice tinged with gravity. Ali addressed the jury by stating, 2 individuals on the same day have encountered this man, and both have had their valuable possessions taken from them. This occurrence appears to extend beyond mere consequence. It suggests a pattern of criminal activity potentially involving the use of dark magic as experienced by these victims. Thank you. No more questions, Your Honor. Ali concluded, allowing the weight of Mrs. Baldry's testimony to settle in the room. Judge Sutton turned his gaze to Farsa, subtly nodding for him to take his turn in questioning Mrs. Baldry. Rising from his seat, Farsa crept toward the witness stand, confidence radiating from him. With a voice dripping with theatricality, he asked,
My good lady, can you recall ever seeing me or my monkey infiltrate your home, let alone ascend the staircase to pilfer your precious jewelry?
Mrs. Baldry's body language displayed uncertainty. Her eyes darted nervously around the courtroom before settling on him.
No, I never saw you or your monkey enter my house.
she answered hesitantly, the tremor in her voice betraying her composure. A sinister smile crept across Farsa's face as he directed a pointed, almost mocking glance at the jury.
So here we have it. She never witnessed me entering her house, yet she dares to accuse me of theft? Isn't that just a tad far-fetched?
He paused for effect, letting his words sink in, and then added,
No further questions, Your Honor.
With a self-satisfied air, Farsa returned to his seat, a glimmer of triumph in his eyes. Ali turned away, his expression twisting with disgust as he prepared to call Maya Jane to the stand. Your Honor, I would like to summon Maya Jane to the witness stand. Ali stated respectfully. Maya approached the stand with measured steps, taking her seat with a posture that conveyed composure and attention to the proceeding. Mrs. Jane, Ali inquired, please recount the events surrounding the disappearance of your red emerald necklace. Maya paused briefly, collecting her thoughts before responding.
My account is consistent with that provided by Mrs. Baldry. However, there is one significant distinction. As I ascended the stairs, my pet Myna bird mimic descended in a flurry, repeating the phrase, "The monkey did it." This peculiar behavior prompted me to investigate further. Upon reaching the upper level, I observed that the window had been left open, with noticeable scratch marks on the sill. To my dismay, I discovered that my red emerald necklace was missing, leaving an undeniable gap where it had once been.
Did you also call the police? Ali inquired. Maya took a deep breath, her voice trembling slightly as she recounted the frantic moments that had unfolded.
I first reached out to my husband Zomba. My heart raced as I explained the necklace was gone. The weight of panic settled heavily in my chest. Only after he returned, his worried expression matching my own, did I finally contact the police.
And what did the police say? Ali asked.
The officer explained that someone had broken through the window. The window ledge had deep scratches, suggesting a struggle to get inside. They mentioned it might have been a monkey because they found clear claw marks. Each scratch showed that it wasn't a typical break-in.
Thank you, Maya. I have no more questions, Your Honor, Ali replied. Farsa rose from his seat, his demeanor exuding confidence as he strode toward the witness stand. With an incredulous arch of his brow, he questioned.
So let me get this straight. You believe that while I was introducing myself at your front door, Miamuta stealthily scaled the exterior wall, broke into your bedroom window, and made off with your necklace?
Maya's voice wavered with uncertainty as she replied.
I'm not entirely sure what to think, but our Myna bird mimic kept walking. The monkey did it. Plus, the scratch marks on the windowsill seems to support that theory.
A smile played at the corner of Farsa's mouth, a dismissive expression that hinted at his skepticism.
That sounds rather ludicrous, much like the rest of these outrageous allegations,
he stated with a hint of derision. He turned back to the judge, concluding,
No more questions, Your Honor.
Judge Sutton turned to Ali and prompted him to call the next witness. I would like to call Officer O'Brien to the stand, Ali announced. Officer O'Brien rose and walked confidently past the jury, taking his place in front of them. The bright martyr on his uniform broke the hypnotic hold that Farsa had over the jurors. Addressing them directly, he declared,
Lock this man up. I know he's guilty.
Without warning, Farsa shot up from his seat, his voice ringing out like a fire alarm in the tense atmosphere of the courtroom.
I declare a mistrial,
he thundered, his eyes blazing with a mixture of indignation and disbelief.
This officer just engaged in jury misconduct. A witness should never address the jury.
The courtroom erupted in a frenzy, a cacophony of shouts and gasps that sounded off the high, stately walls. Spectators leaped to their feet, some waving their hands in protest while others exchanged incredulous looks. The air crackled with tension, as if a storm were brewing just beneath the surface. Meanwhile, Judge Sutton, seated at the elevated bench, pounded his gavel with fierce determination. Order in the court! He bellowed, his voice cutting through the chaos like a knife. The commanding authority in his tone momentarily stilled the crowd. Yet the murmurs of unrest lingered, a palpable undercurrent of anticipation hanging in the air. Officer O'Brien, you are reminded that it is improper to address the jury during a trial. Your conduct has compelled me to dismiss your testimony and to order your immediate departure from this courtroom, stated Judge Sutton. Farsa rose once more and proclaimed,
This is an instance of prejudice. I hereby call for a mistrial.
Judge Sutton struck his gavel decisively and with a solemn expression stated, I am the presiding judge in this case. You, according to Farsa, are required to take your seat and remain silent. I have opted to dismiss Officer Bryan's testimony and shall proceed with this trial. This is my final determination. Despite Officer O'Brien's dismissal from the courtroom, he successfully alleviated the influence of the hypnotic state that Farsa had imposed upon the jurors. In light of this extraordinary sequence of events, Judge Sutton has ordered a recess of 15 minutes. Allie stood in stunned silence, grappling with the weight of Officer O'Brien's swift dismissal. A flurry of thoughts swirled in his mind, and then, like a lightning bolt illuminating a dark sky, an audacious idea took shape. Convicting Farsa was going to be an uphill battle. The case relied solely on flimsy circumstantial evidence, leaving it vulnerable and precarious. Yet one glimmer of hope remained. The unmistakable witness who had perched on the sidelines of this unfolding drama. Mimic the Myna bird. With striking plumage of deep ebony interspersed with yellow accents, Mimic was no ordinary bird. He was a master observer, his eyes sharp as the talons that clutched the branches, always ready to capture the essence of the world around him. This feathered onlooker had seen the chaotic scene when a mischievous monkey with its sinewy limbs and twitching tail had brazenly snatched the dazzling red emerald necklace from its rightful owner, a moment frozen in time. The thought of this colorful avian becoming the centerpiece of a courtroom drama sent a thrill through Allie. For the first time in legal history, a bird would take the stand, and the air seemed charged with excitement at the prospect. He could envision the courtroom, a solemn yet lively space where the chatter of anxious spectators mingled with the flutter of wings. The moment Mimic opened his beak to relay what he had seen would be a spectacle unlike any other, and perhaps, just perhaps, it would be the turning point in solving the mystery that shrouded Farsa.
Chapter 9. Mimic Makes History. As the courtroom recess commenced, Allie engaged the Jane family in a discussion regarding the potential for Mimic to take the stand as a witness. Dr. Jane, I propose an idea that I believe could significantly impact the outcome of this case. Allie remarked. What is this proposal? Dr. Jane inquired. Allie explained. The sole witness in this case is Mimic, but he's a Myna bird, not a human. As a zoologist, do you believe that Mimic can accurately recall the events surrounding the monkey's intrusion into your residence and respond to the questions I intend to pose? After a brief moment of consideration, Dr. Jane responded, Mimic is a highly trained Myna bird. While it may seem improbable, I believe that with extensive training that I have provided, he possesses a reasonable chance of giving credible responses. I am open to exploring this option. Excellent, Allie expressed. I will have you testify first as an esteemed zoologist to affirm the reliability of Mimic's testimony. Should Judge Sutton permit Mimic's involvement in the proceedings, we will need to ensure his presence in the courtroom. Maya interjected. I will return home to retrieve Mimic, as we just live one block away. Allie, pleased with the Jane family's willingness to cooperate, responded, That sounds like a great plan. Let us work together to ensure that Farsa faces the consequences for his actions and that the jury's decision prevents him from stealing from others in the future. Following the recess, Allie approached the judge alongside Farsa. Your Honor, I would like to submit a motion to call Dr. Zampa Jane to the witness stand along with his Myna bird Mimic.
Judge Sutton expressed skepticism, responded, "A talking Myna bird? Are you attempting to undermine the seriousness of my courtroom by introducing a talking Myna bird?" Ali replied, "No, Your Honor. Mimic serves as a crucial witness in the matter concerning Miamuta, the monkey Farsa persuaded to steal the red monkey necklace from the residence of the Jane family."
A talking Myna bird?
Farsa remarked with amusement.
I have no objections to this unconventional proposition, Your Honor.
Judge Sutton reflected on this for a moment before responding. "There's a first time for everything. I will permit Mimic to take the stand. However, if this devolves into a menagerie, I will have that bird removed from my courtroom with utmost expedience." As Ali turned away from the judge, he confidently raised his hand and stated, "I would like to call Dr. Zampa Jane and his pet Mimic the Myna bird to the stand." Dr. Jane rose from his seat, exuding a sense of professionalism, while Maya opened the courtroom door to usher in Mimic. The extraordinary bird, perched proudly on her forearm, began to bob its head rhythmically. To the amusement of those present, Mimic proceeded to vocalize a repeating phrase from the well-known song by Warren Zevon, "10 lawyers, guns, and money," thereby introducing an unexpected lightness to the courtroom environment. "Order in the courtroom," stated Judge Sutton as he struck his gavel. "This serves as my final admonition to you, Mr. Wink. Should there be any additional disruptions, I will dismiss this case without hesitation." "Your Honor, I sincerely apologize. I would like to call Dr. Jane and his pet Mimic the Myna to the stand," remarked Ali. Dr. Jane stepped to the front of the room, his demeanor calm yet commanding, with the stunning parrot Mimic resting regally on his forearm. The plumage of Mimic's feathers shimmered in shades of yellow and black, capturing the attention of the jury. Ali, his eyes wide with intrigue, leaned forward. "Dr. Jane, as a zoologist, could you elaborate on the vocal abilities of Mimic?" he asked, his tone eager and filled with wonder. Dr. Jane's face lit up with enthusiasm as it met Mimic's bright, inquisitive gaze. "Mimic possesses an extraordinary range of vocal talents," he explained, his voice rich and animated. "He can belt out an impressive array of tunes from classic songs to contemporary hits, and he does so with surprising clarity and emotion. Moreover, he adeptly responds to visual cues, turning his head or flapping his wings in excitement, showing a keen understanding of his environment. What's even more fascinating is his ability to engage in conversation, effortlessly answering questions and even mimicking human speech with remarkable accuracy." The warmth in his voice revealed his deep appreciation for Mimic's unique abilities, highlighting the extraordinary connection they shared. Ali walked up to Mimic and said, "Hello, Mimic." In response, Mimic bobbed his head and chirped back, "Hello." The jury's face lit up with smiles, clearly amused by the sight of a Myna bird taking the stand. Ali asked, "Mimic, do you know why you're in this courtroom?"
Yes, I'm here because I saw the monkey climb into the bedroom and grab a red emerald necklace from Maya."
Mimic replied. His excited tone added a lively touch to the moment, catching everyone's attention as they leaned in to hear more about this cheeky little thief. "What did you do after you saw the monkey grab the necklace?" Ali asked.
"I ran after the monkey because I wanted to get the necklace back, but he jumped out the window."
Mimic replied. "Did you follow him out the window?" Ali asked.
"No way! Dr. Jane told me not to go outside by myself."
Mimic said. "So what happened next?" Ali asked.
"I flew downstairs calling for Maya, repeating, 'The monkey did it! The monkey did it!'"
Mimic explained. "What do you mean by saying the monkey did it?" Ali asked.
"The monkey stole the necklace!"
Mimic shouted. Ali walked purposefully past the jury. With a playful smile, he glanced at the colorful parrot perched nearby and quipped, "That's a remarkably clever bird," letting the light-hearted comment hang in the air for a moment. Turning on his heel, he faced Judge Sutton, who sat majestically at the front of the courtroom. With a respectful nod, he proclaimed, "Your Honor, I have no further questions." His voice steady and confident, resonating with a quiet authority that filled the room. Ali settled into his seat, a calm demeanor masking the tension in the air, while Farsa rose with an air of determination, ready to cross-examine Mimic. A devilish grin danced across Farsa's lips as he locked eyes with the jury, channeling his most mesmerizing stare, hoping to ensnare their attention. Yet frustration flickered behind his sparkling eyes. His spell, potent yet elusive, continued to evade him as he approached Mimic, every step echoing with palpable anticipation.
Mimic, you assert that my beloved monkey Miamuta intruded upon your owner's sanctuary and pilfered their precious necklace. Tell me, was it Dr. Jane who programmed you to parrot these words for your testimony today?
Farsa spoke with a deliberate cadence, each word dripping with skepticism.
No, the monkey did it! I witnessed it with my very own eyes!
Mimic squawked. Farsa turned to the jury, his gaze steady and piercing.
If there's any truth to what this little feathered creature claims, I implore you to answer these pressing questions. Where, pray tell, is that elusive necklace? Where are the coins and jewels that I supposedly snatched from the jewelry store? And what of the precious gems from Mrs. Baldry? I'll tell you where they are. Nowhere to be found. This entire situation is nothing more than a fabricated ruse designed to ensnare me, simply because I hail from Romania and my appearance diverges from the norm. How can I be condemned for a crime that lacks any tangible evidence of stolen possessions? I journeyed to this country seeking the American dream, only to find myself ensnared in an unjust accusation while my dearest Miamuta languishes in the care of another. This trial is a blatant display of xenophobia, and to suggest that a loquacious minor bird serves as the sole witness is utterly absurd. I proclaim my innocence. Without concrete evidence of these missing items, I'll continue to assert my right to chase my dreams in this land brimming with opportunity.
With a swell of confidence coursing through him, Farsa turned to Judge Sutton, his voice clear and resolute.
I rest my case, Your Honor.
As Farsa took his seat once more, a quiet confidence simmered beneath his calm exterior, convinced that he would emerge unscathed from the trial. Meanwhile, Ali turned to his client, a somber expression shadowing his face. This was our only chance. He sighed, relying on Mimic's testimony to secure a conviction against Farsa. From the very beginning, the odds were against us. This case was fragile at best. I truly did my utmost, but without any of the stolen jewelry retrieved, I fear the outlook is bleak. Ali paused, glancing at the jury with a mix of hope and despair. There's a slim chance that the jury will side with Mimic's account, but we must remind ourselves that we're placing our faith in a talking Myna bird's word. His voice faltered as he looked back at the Janes, the shop owner, and Mrs. Baldry, all of whom had expressions of resignation and defeat. They stood there, their faces drawn and weary, offering quiet thanks to Ali for fighting valiantly on their behalf. A heavy silence filled the room as they contemplated the uncertain fate that awaited them all in the coming verdict. As Judge Sutton stood poised to invite Ali and Farsa to present their closing arguments to the jury, the imposing courtroom door swung open with a deliberate creak, announcing the arrival of Officer O'Brien. Striding purposefully in the chamber, he exuded an aura of authority. His blue uniform immaculate and perfectly fitted, a weathered knapsack hung heavily over his shoulder, its fabric worn but sturdy.
Your Honor,
he began, his deep voice echoing off the walls and capturing the tension of every person in the room.
Following my earlier dismissal from this case, I promptly returned to the station to obtain a warrant to search the property where this man,
he declared, pointing an accusatory finger at Farsa,
was residing. Venturing down into the dimly lit basement, I stumbled upon a trove of astonishing evidence.
With a dramatic flourish, Officer O'Brien placed the knapsack onto the polished wood of the table. He loosened the drawstring and in one swift motion inverted the bag, sending an array of illicit treasures cascading on the surface with a metallic clatter. Gas filled the courtroom as the stunning red emerald necklace gleamed brightly. Surrounding it were stacks of lustrous coins, their surfaces glinting under the overhead lights, along with the delicate pieces of jewelry. Among the dazzling array were also the vividly colored gems. The atmosphere hummed with an electric tension. The weight of O'Brien's discovery settled heavily upon the courtroom, casting both the literal and symbolic shadow over the proceedings that lay ahead. Farsa stood frozen, his mind racing as disbelief washed over him. His gaze captured a glimmering light that danced on the polished ledge where the jury sat, drawing his attention like a moth to a flame. Leaning closer, he was startled to recognize the source. It was the striking martyr pin from Officer O'Brien's crisp uniform. Its radiant colors sparkled defiantly in the courtroom's dim light. He thought for a moment. Officer O'Brien must have discreetly placed it there during his abrupt departure, a strategic move meant to thwart Farsa's dark intentions. This realization struck him like a bolt of lightning. Officer O'Brien had not only recovered the stolen goods, but had also unwittingly put Farsa's plans at risk. The thought of imprisonment loomed over him like a dark cloud, igniting a surge of panic within. Desperation clawed at him. The martyr was a powerful talisman, and its presence rendered him incapable of weaving his malevolent spells. It was now or never. He had to snatch the martyr and obliterate it, rendering him free to bend the minds of everyone in that hollow courtroom with hypnotic powers he wielded. Farsa's heart raced as he plotted his next move, the weight of impending doom heavy on his shoulders. The courtroom erupted in disarray. A tempest of voices and shouts spiraled into chaos. Judge Sutton's authoritative voice cut through the din as he bellowed, "Order in my courtroom!" But it was too late. Farsa, fueled by desperation and fervor, sprang from his seat like a coiled spring, propelling himself toward the martyr. With a swift, decisive movement, he grasped the delicate charm, raising it high above his head like a conquering hero brandishing a trophy of victory. A wild glint danced in his eyes as he declared with fervor,
"No more will this martyr hinder my quest for domination!"
The energy in the room shifted, thickening with tension as Farsa prepared to unleash his hypnotic prowess upon the unsuspecting crowd, ready to craft his dream of world conquest. In a breathtaking display of bravery, Mimic, the spirited bird, shot through the air like a streak of lightning, aiming directly at Farsa. His sharp talons grazed Farsa's hand, causing the precious martyr to slip from his grip and plummet towards the hard, unforgiving floor below. Farsa recoiled in shock and agony, his voice rising in a mix of surprise and pain as he exclaimed,
"Ouch! This audacious creature has attacked me! He deserves to be locked away in a cage for all eternity!"
At that moment, Officer O'Brien, a figure of authority, surged forward with determination. He swiftly scooped up the falling martyr, cradling it carefully in his hands while simultaneously thwarting Farsa's plans and rendering him momentarily powerless to cast any of his nefarious spells. The atmosphere was charged with tension as Judge Sutton, a stern figure in judicial robes, rose from his seat, his face a mask of indignation. With a voice that resonated throughout the courtroom, he bellowed, "The only one who deserves to be caged is you, Farsa! Bailiff, place this villain in handcuffs and ensure his confinement behind bars where he belongs. We cannot allow him to see the light of day or ever wield his dark magic against anyone again." The weight of his words echoed in the room, a clear warning that justice would prevail against those who pursued wickedness. As Farsa writhed against his unforgiving grip of the cold handcuffs clamped tightly around his wrist, his voice rose like a thunderclap, reverberating off the walls of the stark, dimly lit chamber.
"This is not the end of my saga! Mark my words! You will hear from me again!"
His fierce gaze sparkled with unyielding resolve, a tempest of emotions raging within him.
"I will return, and when I do, I'll unleash my vengeance upon Mimic the Myna for his treachery!"
Each word dripped with venomous intent as he visualized the day he would break free from his bonds and reclaim his destiny. As the courtroom chimed with gasps of disbelief, a wave of joy swept through the crowd. Laughter and cheers erupted. A symphony of relief and celebration filled the air as Farsa and his sinister powers were finally subdued. The gleam of triumph shone in the eyes of the gathered spectators as the stolen treasures, once the pride of the shop owner, Mrs. Baldry, and the Jane family, were lovingly returned to their owners, each item a symbol of justice reclaimed. Dr. Jane and his wife Maya stood side by side, their eyes sparkling with pride and admiration. They turned toward Mimic, the magnificent Myna bird who had stolen the spotlight that day. With warmth that radiated from their hearts, they exclaimed,
"We're so proud of you, Mimic. You truly are the best Myna bird in the world."
Mimic, regal and poised on his perch, held his head high, reveling in the adoration of the crowd gathered around. The atmosphere was charged with joy as this avian champion, a valid symbol of courage and triumph, began to sing the iconic refrain.
We are the champions, my friend.
As Mimic's voice filled the air, the crowd erupted in smiles and laughter, celebrating the extraordinary bond between them and their beloved feathered hero. Farsa, once a menacing figure of deceit, now languishes behind cold iron bars, his reign of chaos finally brought to an end. Meanwhile, Mimic the Myna has emerged as a true champion. No longer just a clever bird, he has ascended to the heights of heroism, capturing the hearts and imaginations of all who hear his tale. His sharp wit and extraordinary mimicry have set him apart, solidifying his position as the most ingenious Myna bird the world has ever known. With each daring adventure, he weaves a legacy of bravery and intelligence that will echo through time, inspiring future generations to celebrate the cleverness and courage that defined his remarkable journey.